Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about taking notes once you have decided on the person that you are going to be doing a research report on. Eventually, we'll be using Google Slides, and I will be sending you the slides in order to complete your report, but we're going to start with the next couple of days of just taking notes. So I want to go through a couple different strategies you might use for taking notes. One strategy would be to make a timeline, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago back in the classroom. You could kind of just start with a line as you're reading, um, think about their early life, and then kind of the big events in their life, and then um, what happened towards the end of the life or more of the results. And so if I was doing, for example, Ruby Bridges, okay, I would kind of start by thinking about her early life. And as I read, add some points in here. And then I would think about her reasons or motivation for change. And add some events in here. And then the social impact. So that means, like, because of what she did, what happened around her and in our country. So that would be an example of um, a timeline. And you would go into your resources or books on Epic and add things into these three different areas. And we practiced that a couple weeks ago. Now I want to tell you about a different type of taking notes that you might want to try out. And that is more of a web approach. So if I know Ruby Bridges is who I'm going to be researching and writing a report about, then I'm going to focus on these three areas: her early life, her reasons for or motivation for change, and social impact. So as I am reading, I'm going to just add different points to these notes. So let me practice a little bit with you. So I have a couple books home with me. Most of your resources are probably going to be online, but I definitely recommend writing out your notes just like I am. Have a piece of paper next to you, and as you're reading online, then you can jot down your notes on paper. I will be asking you to take a picture of your notes to turn in today, and tomorrow another picture of your notes to turn in. And I will be showing you how to do that later in this assignment. So now if I look and I read, there's a section about Ruby Bridges in this book. It's called The Story of Civil Rights. So if I look at the beginning, it says in 1960, when she was just 6 years old, Ruby Bridges took an important test. She did well enough on the test that she was allowed to attend William Frantz Elementary School, but the school had always been for white students only. So if I think about um, this so far, that's definitely talking about her early life starting out. So I'm going to add a few notes to her early life here. So to begin, in 1960, she's 6 years old. She took an important test and she did well on that test. One of the things I'm going to really practice as I'm taking notes is to put things in my own words. So I can combine a couple of those sentences and say 1960, Ruby did well on an important test. So this is kind of like my detail. Early life is going to be your one of the main ideas, and it's going to be one section of your report. And another detail that I can add to that, and you might even decide that you want to do boxes and bullets if you want to just make a box and put different bullets for each of these different things. I'm just trying out the web idea here. She was allowed to attend William Frantz Elementary School, but the school had always been for white students only. So she was able to go to William Frantz Elementary, a school for whites only. Okay, so I'm kind of taking what I read, I'm putting it into my own words. All right. And then if I continue to read, Ruby was protected by federal marshals who walked her to school each morning. She refused to cry during her walks to and from the school. Her family also suffered during this time. Her father was fired from his job, and some stores refused to serve her parents. Okay. And we kind of missed a little bit down here. Also, it said, from Ruby's first day, she was treated terribly. Other parents refused to let their children go to school with her. Many teachers refused to teach her, but Ruby was brave. Okay. So if I'm thinking about her reason or motivation for change, it sounds like she wasn't treated very well going to the school that had only been for whites in the past. But she had done well on the test, so she wanted to get a good education. So I might add here that she was brave, even though other kids and parents didn't want her at school. And her dad was fired from his job. Okay, so I'm kind of taking the big ideas from this. And if I look at this section and the last part, it says, today, Ruby stays busy with civil rights activism. She has received many awards and honors. In 2014, a statue of her was unveiled in the courtyard of William Frantz Elementary School. So we could say the social impact, kind of like what, as a result of what she did, Ruby became a civil rights activist. And there's a statue of her at the school. So now I'm going to move on and I'm going to look. This is the the only page about her in this book, but now I would go back to some of the other resources and see what other information I can continue to add to these three different sections. Really thinking about their early life, what happened early on in their life, their reason and motivation for change, why did they become a leader or an activist, and the social impact. What happened as a result of what they did? And you would continue to add notes onto this. And then when we get to actually writing your research paper, you'll have a lot of information from these three main ideas.